For the strawberry cane, I use the Skinner shade technique. If you have difficulty using this technique, you can always skip it and just use red Fimo. Form 2 equal triangles, one of red and one of white and translucent mix, and put the two together. Squeeze lightly along the seam to join them. Fold the resulting square in half and pass it through the pasta maker. On quite a wide setting. Fold again in half, or actually into 4, which I do, with the edges folded into the middle, and pass through again. Make sure you always roll in the same direction. It looks a mess at the moment, but it's almost magical the way the shading appears. You can see the shading starting to come now. At some point you might need to control this to stop it getting too wide. To do this, I just fold it several times and gently but firmly push the ends towards the middle, trying to make sure it doesn't concertina too much. I always say, show the clay who's boss. Fimo knows who's boss in this workshop. After 7 or 8 passes, assuming you've folded it as I do, the shades should start to look pretty good. You need to fold this up evenly to form a stack. Cutting through the stack helps to remove the air bubbles. Then you stack it up again. What I'm doing here is turning a flat sheet with the 2 colours on either edge into a fat cube shape with the 2 colours on the top and bottom. You might need to watch this several times to get the idea of the change and the planes that we're going for. It's a little difficult to understand if you've never done it before, but it will open up your creativity when you've got the hang of it. Just control it carefully. Then we lengthen out this cube into a strip. It can take a bit of practice, but it's a very satisfying technique to use. Now I'm going to make a series of cuts evenly along the strip. If you want to, you can do as few as, say, 10 or 12. I'll do around 16. Then you'll need to roll a sheet of white. Roll it out on a fairly thin setting. Cut and slice this sheet into pieces big enough to put one between each of your red pieces. I'm just doing this haphazardly, but you could actually measure the pieces onto the sheet. Add the pieces in between each of the red pieces, but make sure you keep these pieces in order. Don't get them upside down or you'll lose the shade effect and it could make it look quite odd. That's a piece and a white piece, a red piece, white piece, red piece, until you've covered the whole strip. Again, try and keep the air out of it. There we go. Just the last one. If you've been as haphazard as I have, you can trim off the excess, but be very careful not to cut yourself. When you've finished, you can start to form the strip into a heart shape. Take your time about getting the shape right and make sure this outside bit is quite a lot thicker than the middle by squashing it in. But don't thin it out too much, otherwise it'll be difficult to control later. There, I've just left a small piece in the centre for where the hull will be. The middle should be filled with a semi-translucent pink, but of course in some strawberries it's white or even a little orangey. So you decide exactly what colour to make it. Try and make it the same softness as the rest of the material that you're working with. Pop that in the middle. Wrap it all round. Start to control the shape initially by putting it onto its end. That's to say the top of the heart should be upside down on your work surface. Get your fingers right in. You need to work methodically, squeezing the opposite sides and then turning it over and doing the same again and again. You need to keep moving. Again, you might need to replay this section a few times to give you the idea. Pushing down and pulling out at the same time, turning it over and pulling it. Just persuading the whole thing to lengthen. It's all a matter of control. Persuading the shape to give in and start stretching without tearing apart. Banging it a little bit does help as well. It sort of sticks the molecules together. Sometimes you need to press, sometimes you need to pull. You'll get a feeling for it as you go along. But take your time about this bit. A little wiggle like this seems to help to stretch it without breaking. I'm trying to stretch it all evenly. Again, slapping it can help. It's all about getting the particles to stick together and all decide to move evenly. When it gets too big, you can actually cut it down into usable pieces. Do take care when you're lengthening this cane. As it gets smaller, it does get prone to breaking. There, you see I've just broken that piece myself. One of the things you can do is stroke it very, very gently between your fingers. That helps it to stretch to the right size. If you're making whole strawberries, you need to close one end off, remembering to keep that heart shape. Then you can cut that end off. And there's the inside of the strawberry. If you want it to look as if the hull's been taken out, then all you need to do is use a craft tool and indent the top, just gently. There are several ways you can use your strawberry cane. Here are just a few ideas.